In 2015, when Richard and Barbara Rosenfeld retired, I made a movie to celebrate their role in Philadelphia's art community. It begins like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got my finger caught.
Calm before the storm, right?
This is the calm before the lull. I don't expect the storm.
Well, the storm comes for us all, and Richard died this past January. And Barbara asked me to speak at his memorial service, which is being held at the Stanek Gallery, which itself derives from Rosenfeld Gallery DNA. Because I have a ton of recordings of Richard, I thought it might be nice to hear from him rather than me. And as we're listening to him, I'll show you some of the remarkable people that I got to meet through making videos for the Rosenfeld Gallery. So Richard, don't screw this up. Not everybody gets the chance to eulogize himself.
Hi, my name's Richard Rosenfeld, and I'm happy to be able to do this show.
Why don't you start off with some jokes?
Man is walking past an insane asylum and he hears the lunatics on the other side of the fence chanting 13, 13, 13. And it's one of these tall fences made out of wire with slats of plastic woven through it. So he peels back some of the plastic and looks in, and he gets poked in the eye. And then he hears 14, 14, 14.
This is an existential joke. What's brown and sticky? A stick.
Well, the reason I went into art is when I was young, I was a kind of a confused kid and awkward, and they sent me to a psychologist, and he told my father I was autistic, so he sent me to art school.
You know, this movie may be longer than Ben-Hur. Is that all right?
As long as no horses are killed in the making of the movie.
You're all great friends. I've been so blessed to be able to hang out with artists my whole life, artists and their significant others. Artists don't marry, for the most part, insurance salesmen. They marry interesting people. By the way, you know why bagpipe players always march when they play? They're trying to get away from the sound.
Time to get serious.
Looking back, I find my career as a gallerist so improbable. I've kept the gallery afloat for almost 40 years, and in all modesty, played a role in the cultural life of the area. I was an unkempt, squirmy child, dyslexic and probably somewhat ADD. I wasn't good at anything, a poor, undisciplined student with bad study habits. My native intelligence alone salvaged to be averaged all through school. I enjoyed art classes in junior high and won an award at a regional show. Thinking maybe I was good at something after all, I took art lessons at the Settlement House and as many classes as possible at high school. I clung to the image of being an artist. I cultivated the image of an outsider. I was peculiar, but in a special way. I saw more and felt more deeply than other people. I started classes at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts in 1957. When I was 17, I spent 5 years there drinking coffee, chatting, and doing very little work. Fortunately, I underwent a coordinated degree program taking academic courses at the University of Pennsylvania, graduating with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree. So I learned something. I followed it up with 2 more years of coffee and easy living at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, receiving a Master's of Fine Arts degree in 1964. After teaching art at a boys' boarding school in Pennsburg, Pennsylvania, I took my savings and moved to Ajijic in Mexico, a small fishing village on Lake Chapala, just outside of Guadalajara. I spent a year there, occasionally staring at blank canvases and wondering more and more what the heck I was doing. By the time I returned to Philadelphia, I realized that I had become an artist only for lifestyle reasons, and it was time to stop posturing and to get on with my life. For months, an employment agency tried to place me in a job fitting my particular skills, but nothing came of it. Then I answered an ad in the paper for a manager of a mall art gallery. I got the job and, to my surprise, found I liked it and was pretty good at hanging art and selling art. 6 years later, I became a junior partner in the Langman Gallery in Jenkintown, Pennsylvania. For several years, things went well, and we were representing really good quality artists, including Larry Day, Arlene Love, and Sam Mayton. In the early 70s, business fell off sharply during a severe market downturn. Consequently, we dissolved the partnership, and I became a private dealer consultant working out of my house while scouting locations for a gallery.
When we first opened the gallery in our home in Huntington Valley, we were full partners. Richard solicited artists and customers. We had some people with us that are still with us today. Bruce Samuelson, Mary Spinelli, for example.
It was wonderful growing up in an art gallery, meeting all the artists, and of course everyone appreciates his sense of humor.
Yeah.
Do you know any jokes?
Sometimes he asks us what's the biggest pencil in the world, and then he answers Pennsylvania.
When I first saw the ground floor at 113 Art Street, I fell in love with the space. I knew that most of the city's art galleries were clustered around Rittenhouse Square. Therefore, I would always be a destination gallery. People would have to make special plans to stop in, and I could not depend on any walk-by overflow from other galleries.
I started the art gallery on a shoestring. I had saved up $10,000, and that was it. And even back in 76, that was not a lot of money. And I had to pay the rent out of that the first month. I had to pay my own living expenses. And it took me a long time to catch up to that. I was always a little bit behind. I've never made a lot of money in the gallery, but it was really, really tough in the beginning.
My first customers are here. I want you to take me a picture with them.
Okay.
My name is Howard Casper. I'm his oldest customer.
Nice to meet you. I'm Nancy.
What made you want to buy stuff from Richard?
Oh, because everything he has we love. That's why.
Well, they kept me in business for 10 or 15 years. Opening a gallery is always risky, but I had several advantages. At Langman Gallery, Richard Langman was the businessman, and I did most of the selling and interacting with artists. When I left, many of the artists and collectors came with me. I had also developed good relations with the art critics and other people in the field. My career has been very gratifying. It's been a privilege to get close to so many talented, creative people and have access to their studios and homes. Artists have been my teachers, taking me into their confidence and sharing their views and aesthetics. At last, I understand my role. I've been an enabler. I've left my mark by standing aside and providing an encouraging, understanding environment for such capable, deeply committed artists. It's been a wonderful ride.
Richard, you used to use the gallery to help other people. Can you talk about that?
Over the years, we've done lots and lots of fundraising events for different charities, and it's been a very important part of what we do. It's the way I can give back because I've never made really enough money to give money to any cause, but we can lend the gallery and our support. Project Home, we've done several times with Sister Mary Skellion to raise money for the homeless, and that's always been a very touching event to do here.
We're very grateful for the Rosenfeld Gallery, who's not only exhibits such beautiful art, but also uses it to support community endeavors and functions, throughout the city. So it's art plus.
Ann Karamatico, every time we do a show for her, all the proceeds from her part and some of ours go to supporting a school that she funds in Cambodia. It's just a wonderful thing. Artists are very generous, and they do things like that all the time. Tracy Ziegler, a terrific artist that we show, is very involved with prisoners. She writes them letters. She does newspaper articles about them. She sponsors art shows. We did an art show here to raise, and those funds went into art materials for the prisoners. On the other end of the scale, we've done events for Red Paw, an arm of the Red Cross. They rescue animals who are separated from their owners at fires and disasters, rehabilitate them, then return them to their owners.
Richard, a number of your artists have been older, and some, like you, have shuffled off their mortal coil. Do you have any thoughts about that?
One of the sad things about being in business so long is I've lost a lot of close friends that were artists that I showed. Doris Staffel, for one. She was in her 90s when she died, but she was still very vital. I think I've learned more from Doris about evaluating work than anybody I've ever met. She was high maintenance and very well worth it, and a really good painter. Murray Desner was a wonderful, wonderful friend, and he died much too early. He was really at his peak as an artist. It was very sad. We did a video of him right before he died, and he knew he was going to die, and it was a very poignant video. Deborah Warner was another one, and that was a last testament from her, and she was a very good friend too. She was a weaver. She was head of the department and then dean at Moore College of Art. And she was one of those kind of people that changes other people's lives. She was very nurturing, just like Mary. The two of them were like counterparts to each other. People would spend time with them and think, gee, I want to be an artist. It's rare, but they're wonderful. Tony Off just died. Oh, man. Tony Off came to the city just about 35, 40 years ago. And at that time, I was doing a lot of political cartoons. So I contacted him right away, and we've been really good friends ever since. And we've been through an awful lot. He was just a wonderful guy. I went to a big memorial for him at the Seaside Museum, which was packed. Person after person got up and talked about, of course, Tony had a certain genius for what he did. But what everybody mentioned was that he was just kind. He was one of the kindest people. And that's what I would like to be remembered for, to be kind. I think that's the main thing in life. Be kind.